Welcome to Missing the Mark, where we look for meaning in strange places. I'm Christopher. One of the things which someone who talks about Christianity on the internet will quickly discover is that there are a large number of atheists who are speaking in bad faith. To be clear, while there are many of them in absolute numbers, there's no ready way to know what fraction of all atheists they are. It's quite likely that they're a small but vocal minority. Anyway, I personally suspect that they think of themselves like matadors in the ring who hope to be awarded 2 ears and a Bible once they vanquish the Christian. But whatever their motivation, they're easily recognizable by their basic approach to all discussion of religion. I'll put it in the form of a basic program, just for fun. 10. Print, where's your evidence? 20. Print, that's not evidence. 30. Print, you don't have any evidence. 40. Go to 10. More generally, one is inclined to think that they apply their standards of evidence very inconsistently, until one talks to them long enough to discover that they don't seem to understand the words that they themselves are saying, and don't have any standards of evidence. In extreme cases, talking with them feels like talking with a parrot, whose owner left it in front of a tablet showing YouTube atheist videos on autoplay while he went to work. Many of them are easy to spot because they talk like they're universal experts, but, if you quiz them, they don't seem to know anything about even secular subjects, which one wouldn't have picked up napping one's way through high school. But this is not reliable. On the one hand, some of them have been at least partially educated, and on the other hand, there are plenty of good people who know very little because of the limits of their intellect. There is, however, a very reliable test to tell whether an atheist is talking to you in good faith. And what's better is that it is reliable precisely because it tests a necessary connection rather than a merely accidental connection, however common that accident may be. The test is simply this. Ask the atheist if they believe that reason can know truth. Now, I realize that this might sound a little odd since internet atheists frequently bang on about reason and logic, but if you probe just a little bit, you'll find out that most of the time these are merely buzzwords they heard from fifth-rate thinkers like Richard Dawkins. But to get at the truth, you will need to add a clarification, since contemporary atheists are nearly all Kantians, without knowing it. To summarize, Kant held that it was impossible to know the thing in itself, so instead of knowledge, we should substitute knowledge, that is, we should construct mental models of what we think the world might be like and check them against our experience where practical. Of course, his first application of this was that it was necessary to believe in God, free will, and the immortality of the soul, or human life becomes nonsense. But, well, it turns out that a great many people don't object to life being nonsense. Be that as it may, you need to clarify that you mean truth, not truth, in your question. So I suggest amending the question to, is it possible for human reason to know truth, and not merely a mental model which we check against experience where possible? If somebody is a committed materialist, or naturalist, or physicalist, or whatever other label for the same thing one cares to use, they have to say no. This is for 2 main reasons. 1. Almost the whole reason they are atheists is because they reject reason in the first place. Rejecting reason is the only way to escape the many sound proofs for God available from natural theology. 2. Since, according to them, our brains are the result of undirected evolution, they are optimized only for some combination of survival and reproduction. This provides no grounding for a definite connection between our thoughts and reality. Such a connection would, necessarily, be purely accidental. Also, since most people have believed in the supernatural, the atheist must claim that most people have been wrong, which ipso facto proves that evolution does not optimize our brains for accurate knowledge. Still worse, atheists rarely, in practice, reproduce at even replacement rates, so they kind of have to conclude that accuracy is in fact selected against. The other reason why materialists will reliably say that reason doesn't work reliably, when the question is put clearly, is that these days their whole shtick is a sort of false humility, pretending that they don't think that they know anything. If they admitted that knowledge is possible, they wouldn't be able to escape the necessary consequences of their knowledge. That is, they wouldn't be able to escape God. Anyway, Whatever the reasons why they are forced into this position, if they are in it, you now know with certainty that they are talking with you about Christianity in bad faith. If they say that they would like to know if God exists, and so want to know why you believe God exists, but also believe that it is impossible to know whether God exists, they are not talking to you in good faith. If they say that they accept evidence, but do not believe it is possible to reliably come to good conclusions, they are simply lying about accepting evidence. If they add, "I don't reject all evidence, only whatever evidence I want to reject," they are only saying that they do what they want regardless of the evidence. No one rejects evidence which supports what they want to believe anyway. You can see this very clearly in the Greek word for, word, logos. If you look it up in an Attic Greek to English dictionary, you'll find that it meant a whole lot more than word. It also meant thought, rationality, argument, and so on. Speech is the embodiment of rational thought. Where there is no rationality, words cease to be speech and become mere noises. Now, some will object that this is prideful. Surely the humble thing is to hold that knowledge is not given to mere mortals, that it is impossible for us to be certain of anything. It is certainly audacious to think that we can know anything, because it means that we are more than dirt. But just look at the name of our species, Homo sapiens. Translated from the Latin, it means the knowing man. It is audacious to be human. And there is something further to be learned in the common phrase that names a member of our species, a human being. Being is an interesting word. Technically, it's a gerund, which is a verb that's being used as a noun. This tells you something about us. Unlike dirt and rocks and water and space, we aren't things. We're actions. There were apes before us who stood up like men, but we are the men who know. Humility does not properly consist in making oneself less than one is, but in making oneself no more than one is. A man should not pretend that he is a god, but neither should he pretend that he is a dog. A man should be a man. Worse, actually, is that this is cloaking impiety in false humility. Truth is sacred. A man, because he is a man, has a duty to love truth. It is bad enough when a man lacks the courage to try to find truth because he might fail to find it. How much worse, then, is the man who rejects truth when it is handed to him? And what sort of excuse is it that he rejects truth because he rejects everything? Who would respect a man who does not help a drowning child because he has sworn a vow to help no one at all? A man who is at the moment ignorant can be humble by saying that he does not yet know, and a man who is asked about things which are not given to men to know can be humble by saying that he does not know. But a man who says that he cannot know anything is simply not being a man at all. It is human to know. If a man refuses to know, he is refusing to be human. At best, he's aiming to be a sort of bipedal dog. And there's no point to trying to talk with a dog. Until next time, may you hit everything you aim at.